I just want to mention that I am going to be dropping some videos over the weekend, which I don't normally do, but I am because I want to drop on some different subjects other than housewives. I'm kind of sick of housewives for a second. Just saying. Thank goodness New Jersey has only so many recaps left. I'm going to take a break until Beverly Hills after this. But I have some like really good gossip and it's like off housewives. So I just hope you'll watch. That's all I can tell you. Because it's juicy. All right, so let's get into Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip Season 3 finale, Episode 7, day whatever, not sure, end of the trip day. But I want to, before we start with this recap, I wanted to play a little of the real Andy of Beverly Hills. Hi, Andy. I wanted to play a little of his interview with Pepsi. And of course, Pepsi's real name is actually this. There you go. I can't say it and I don't want to disrespect dear Pepsi by saying it incorrectly. Pepsi, by the way, is working on a cruise ship and he was traveling when he did his interview between Nassau and Miami. And I thought you'd find that kind of interesting. Why isn't he in Thailand? Turns out Pepsi is a bartender, not a butler. And Pepsi was just told by the director of Peacock Show that he should just take care of the women, do whatever they ask, and that they would shoot it. And he did his best, but of course the women were pretty difficult to please. So we've heard that Peacock shows are really produced from people like Dave Portnoy, who witnessed, I guess, in the Hamptons, the Real Housewives of Miami filming, and was very, very produced. But Pepsi tells a very different story about Real Housewives of Ultimate Girls Trip experience. Let me play it for you.
It's no script. It's real. It's real. It's totally 100%. And this is my first time to do this job. I'm not a superstar. I'm not an actor before. This everything I act, I show in the film. That's from my heart. It's from my real. Even I'm crying because I'm sad. I'm sad because why the people have like this? Why you have the high ego? You know?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. And first day I cannot accept about this one. I want to go home. I want to finish.
You want it to be done. Who was the nicer to you? The nicest one?
Oh, the number one is Leah.
Leah?
That doesn't surprise me. Leah and Pepsi had a special bond. She commented under Andy's post, that's my Pepsi. As we know, Leah had a very difficult trip. She was sick a lot, and I think there was a lot of downtime with Leah at the house while they were filming the women, and she wasn't feeling well. And I do believe Pepsi took care of her and really had her back in those moments, feeling sad and alone in a strange country, sick. Anyway, whether you like Leah or you don't, I appreciate the fact that she and Pepsi were so good to each other. Pepsi remembered Heather, Giselle, and Leah and the two Miami girls as being really nice. And he just said that he can't remember the other girls' names, but one of them definitely wasn't nice to him. It was his least favorite. That we were able to piece together from his interview. Pepsi struggled with the formula of housewives that the women would be kind to each other and then stab each other in the back. He really struggled with that. He saw it as not acting, as real, and so it really upset him. Interesting, because Peacock is actually kind of a lighter version of that formula. It is definitely toned way down to the housewife formula, which is a lot more cutthroat, right? So imagine him on Housewives. He wouldn't have lasted. Anyway, go check out Real Andy of Beverly Hills, who did the very difficult task of getting Pepsi from a cruise ship in the middle of the ocean to do an interview with them. It's short, it's sweet, and has some great insight in it. All right, so now let's move on to the episode and find out what happened with this damn tequila bottle. All right? I mean, really, let's do this. We start off with Marisol in the confessional saying she needs a therapist, obviously hungover, and Whitney smokes 2 joints to get out of bed that day. So Giselle orders a giant picture of the tequila bottle with an easel for a presentation she's going to give the women later in the afternoon. And then, little bits and bobs. And then we run into Leah, and she's still at the hospital getting an IV infusion. And she tells everybody, look, there's another 8 hours of this, IV I need to do, but I'm going to just leave and go because it's the last day. Pepsi and Portia put together today's events. They end up going to a pond with lily pads or something. And then they have a dinner planned. The theme is Thailand. Yep, Thailand. So Heather in the van asked Candace, who was her favorite girl on the trip. And she says Whitney. And that makes Heather feel awkward. And she's like, I feel like I'm the third wheel on a first date. Now, one of the criticisms I'm hearing from the fans about this season is there wasn't much tea in it. And I mean, let's face it, that's a big thing in our world. What are the other layers of stories that are happening behind the scenes? Well, I managed to find this one piece of tea I want to play you in this episode. Let me play it for you now.
I can't believe it's the last day.
This very small company, it was a husband and wife, cast all of us.
Okay.
But they did an excellent job casting because there's still 4 of us from the original cast that are still here. Well, even 8 years later.
Disagree.
What?
That they did a great job casting. That's why we weren't on TV for 8 years.
That wasn't the
I have a different version. Obviously, we're good friends, but we have different versions. I mean, I think they were horrible. I think the whole group didn't make any sense, just so you know.
It didn't.
And I know my stuff, and I'm the only one that says it. And even though she's my friend, like, she never supports what I say. But the casting sucked. No, but it's true. It's true. So I just finished season 5, and it was a tough season for me. I was fighting all the girls in the group, but she just decides to stay quiet. So I feel like, as my best friend, you need to stick up for me, and you need to show me that you have my back.
Okay, ladies, you guys ready?
So they go to this gorgeous restaurant, and suddenly the event goes from Portia to Giselle's, which was weird, but that's what happens. They kind of make it sound like Portia's in the beginning, and they switch it to Giselle's, probably because of the tequila. But here is what their view is, and it is quite stunning. I had never seen anything like this. I never went to this when I was in Thailand. I missed out, so I wanted to make sure I shared it, so you guys definitely hit whatever this spot is. I got it for you guys, Ma Du Bois Phuket. So this is good. Like, I'm keeping this here for you, because that was pretty cool, actually. This is the best part of the trip for me. So the tequila bottle is now presented by Giselle to the group, and she's like making a game out of it. But at this point, the product placement around this tequila better be paying Bravo at least $500,000, because I mean, the name 800 times, the bottle 1,000,000 times, like, they must have wrote a big old fat check for this. Portia stands up for Heather and says she checked her room and she has no tequila bottle. She gets Heather off the hook. Alexia and Marisol are removed because they offered to let their room be searched by Giselle, and so that means they weren't guilty to Giselle. Anyway, I found the scene really funny, actually. It was very well done. The women did a great job with very little, I must say. Giselle at the end is really funny. Let me play you this part. Hold on, listen.
I'm the judge, and you know that I can overrule. Everyone knows that I feel like Candace is guilty. But due to what you all have said, I will put it under advisement.
Okay.
What does it so mean? We find out you stole it. Huh? You are going to have to buy all of us bottles and apologize to us. Thank you. Court is adjourned. Excuse me. Court is adjourned. No, it's not. Court is adjourned. When we
You're
see
not
you
the judge.
You ain't nothing but a little old suspect.
I did not
Little
plan
old
to
stuff.
call anyone out. I'm just calling the person who took my bottle.
That was a really funny moment. One of my favorite out of all the days on the trip, actually. It came off way better than I thought. The women are getting the hang of each other now. We probably would have, if it had gone on, we would have gotten some better moments. All right, another tea moment. Finally, listen to this, especially my Real Housewives of Potomac folks.
Of stealing a bottle of tequila.
So this broke up. Come on, this bottle did not break this friendship up. Let's not.
It kind of did.
No, it didn't.
It kind of did.
All that has been hashed out here. Everyone here knows that Candace and I had a rocky season 7 due to her husband and that issue. There was a situation in which Chris made me feel completely uncomfortable.
You want to say that my husband made you feel uncomfortable?
100%. The level of friendship that I have for you, you don't have for me.
I don't agree
And
with
so
that.
that's where it hit me hard.
It's very hard to trust you.
Candace,
And
I for you. How can
that
you
would
question my
say
trust when
that
I
I've not been a
for
good
you?
friend to you when
You
I
haven't.
watched you with everybody.
I'm talking
on
about me
the
and
show,
you. Me and you.
You lied.
Me
You
and
made up.
No,
And I was waiting for the moment when you were going to come for
talk
me.
about me and you.
And you came
Talk
for
about
my
me.
family.
And you told
Now, this soundbite may not be doing it justice. Candace, as I mentioned in my previous recaps, is really struggling with Chris, okay? Her relationship's on the rocks. She doesn't need this to be repeated on Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip. She was hoping it wouldn't come up, okay? 100% I can tell you this from being on this show, on the Beverly Hills. What I'll tell you is Candace is crying because she's really upset and she's thinking about how Chris is going to handle this when the show comes out. Anyway, let's finish the clip.
And you told all of them a lie. Sexual assault.
It was the truth. It was the
Sexual
truth.
assault.
Yes. What else do you mean when you say that my husband
Candace.
lured you into a room? This is retaliation from neck rolls because she's mad that I called her on what she is. A lying, Me Too busting, fake accuser of sexual assault. The fact that she's literally acting as if she did not make up lies about my husband that could ruin his life. It just proves how evil she is.
I need to sit with this.
You could sit, you could stew in it, you could rot in it. I don't care.
Now, it turns out that Marisol brought coffee that she had developed with her mom, like a product line that never happened. And she brought it on the trip, probably to talk about it on the show and pay tribute to her mom. And it just never came up. But then it went missing out of her suitcase. And that really upset her. But again, like somebody seems to be taking stuff, the tequila, the coffee. So that's what's being planted now. We all know it's the beverage thief. So it turns out that Leah had a viral infection and she gets home now and she's back in the villa and her and Candace have a beautiful moment where they reconnect and they really obviously like each other. So Candace says, I don't like being called a thief, and expresses her feelings that this shows that Giselle is a real evil woman. So now it's time for the women to get in their Thai garb for their big dinner. So Whitney goes out to Heather and on camera says, I think now we can build on this trip and basically Real Housewives of Salt Lake City season 4. But as I told you before the season came out, Heather was pretty pissed at Whitney in real life and she's not ready to forgive Whitney because she feels like she really betrayed her way more than coming out on the show. So Heather pretty much expresses that to the audience and says, listen, that was all nice for the cameras, but we've got a lot of real work that we have to do behind the cameras to repair this relationship. The truth is Whitney should accept that she's too far gone with Heather, unfortunately, and she should switch hit and go against someone maybe Heather wants to go against if she really wants to repair that friendship, if that's possible, because there's not a lot of women to go up against on Salt Lake. Hopefully they bring in a few more girls this season. We know Mary's going to be coming back as a friend of, but we need, maybe a new person from outside the group or something. I don't know. The women get in their beautiful Thai attire and take off in the van.
I always say to her, she could fight like you. We both have a different talent, and fighting, she's a master. But I don't think she's looking for you to fight. I think she's just looking for you to have her back. I love Miami. I think they are great together, and they are really good friends. But I think Alexia feels like she might be carrying Marisol a little bit. Without Alexia, who's Marisol's friend? And I think that Marisol doesn't respect the fact that Alexia always includes her on the show. When I say something, I speak from the heart, I speak the truth. Yeah. So that way, that's why nobody can beat me, because when I speak the truth and from my heart.
So she knows the vulnerability of Marisol is the show, for sure. Okay? So this is really telling to me.
I say something, I speak from the heart, I speak the truth.
Yeah.
So that's why nobody can beat me, because when I speak the truth and from my heart, that's how you win. And then what you did to me at Nicole's engagement party, and
I
what you
could
had to
not hear that, June. Wait till you watch the footage.
Marisol is uncomfortable sometimes talking about things that are uncomfortable to her, and she just kind of just wants to brush them under the rug. Marisol is uncomfortable sometimes talking about things that are uncomfortable to her, and she just kind of just wants to brush them under the rug.
A toast to people not starting ugly rumors about me that I'm a married person.
Here you go.
Wait, says that you're married.
You know me.
Maybe they haven't updated the website yet.
Oh, yeah, okay, Marisol. Don't get me upset, Marisol. Not everything's about laughter and humor and, oh, you're so funny, and about drinking.
That gives you the right to say your marriage is fake.
Your marriage with Steven doesn't count. I didn't say your marriage is fake. You're putting words into your mouth. You know what? You took it on pills. Your brain is like fried, just so you know.
A lot of the fans think Marisol's marriage is fake. Isn't that funny that she got married for the show, to be on the show? So this is tying into that gossip, right? That Marisol is desperate to be on the show, so she married a guy, so she'd have a husband, so she could be casted. She holds Alexia super close. But I think what's coming across is there's an argument that's emerging between Marisol and Alexia, which is Alexia's like, I'm the one bringing all the drama, and yes, I'm a housewife, but I'm the hated one for that, right? I mean, she has her fans, of course, but she has a lot of backlash because of what she does on the show. And Marisol plays the safe lane, which is funny and, one-liners and all this stuff. And Alexia carries her because without her, she wouldn't be on the show. Alexia's like, listen, you've got it easy. I've got it hard with the fans. And there's some jealousy on both sides there. Marisol would like to be a housewife, and Alexia would like Marisol to be, have to take on the truth-telling or whatever for, to get the backlash from the fans instead of being everybody's favorite, comedy break. And that's a real thing on the show. So this is a real dispute off camera for sure that they're talking about. That's why I wanted to call it out to you. This is real authentic. I have no doubt when they leave, they make up, everything's hunky-dory because they do help each other on the show. Everyone loves the friendship. But I'd say in the deep, dark corners of their minds, this always is there. So Alexia says she admires that Whitney is so free on television about everything, but she questions, since she's a 9 and a 12-year-old, why she smokes pot basically so openly on a TV show that she knows her kids will eventually watch. And will that lead to them to, doing drugs or whatever? And how do you have a conversation about not doing them when you're doing them on television? And that is her position. But Leah says, listen, you were married to a cartel person. You don't have a right to ask a question that could be judgy towards Whitney. And she's probably right. So Marisol comes in hot, protecting Alexia now, and Whitney isn't good at articulating her point. Unfortunately, maybe she had too much to drink, or she wasn't ready for it, or it was sensitive. All those things come into play. Can't always have a, hot take. So Marisol comes in and says, you on the stripper pole has to embarrass your kids. Yeah. And Whitney feels that it's unfair for Alexia to have started this conversation, given that her son has been arrested for assaulting his girlfriend and has had some problems. So if you wanted to be really bitchy or shady, you could say that, were you a good mother? Why are you judging me? Why are you coming for me? My kids haven't gotten in any trouble. And so, yeah, this was a tough conversation. Woo, what did you guys think of this one? What would you have said? Well, we never find out what happened to the tequila bottle, but I'm pretty sure production stole it. Pepsi shows up at the end of the, evening with a new tequila bottle full of tequila, and the women do a loving tribute to him, which made him cry in real life. Here it is.
Pepsi has really been there for us this entire time. And to see the lengths that he went through to get this bottle for me, this is extremely touching.
It's important for us to appreciate Pepsi because he really gave us his heart on this trip, and you wouldn't have expected it. He was just supposed to host us at the house, and he did and gave so much more. Like, I love Pepsi. I love you, Pepsi.
We are rewarding demon behavior. That bottle don't deserve Giselle.
You look so handsome. Yes, you do. I love you.
Now you know why I started it with Pepsi. This video.
Tonight, it's almost
The women push off their flowers into the water and make a wish, and the women kind of at the same time say how they feel. Alexia, I think, regrets coming for Marisol so hard. She says, I know you're my best friend. I'm grateful for you, basically. And it's a very touching scene that Alexia starts crying and saying, I know Marisol's my best friend. And that's that. And then Leah is like, I don't like half the women here, but, you know, I did make some friends and I'm grateful for that. And I hope I get better. And then, you know, basically Candace is shady as always. And Giselle, shady as always. And then what else? Portia's like praying for herself. Because what else would Portia do, right? And that's kind of the gist. Heather then does this beautiful speech about how conflict resolution really brings us all closer together. And yeah. Heather, I believe in your faith. Well, you guys, that's a wrap. I hope you enjoyed doing the recaps each week with me of Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip Season 3. I've enjoyed doing it with you. I've enjoyed reading your comments. By the way, just as a closeout, Pepsi got this beautiful card, which he did talk about on his interview with the real Andy of Beverly Hills. It meant a lot to him. All the women wrote nice notes to him. All right, you guys, like, subscribe, and hit the notification button till we meet again.